module, I want to talk to you about your clinic or your branding logo. Now, I'll mention this throughout, but the logo is something that I feel quite passionately about, and in the sense that I don't want you to be spending too much time on this. So you will find this to be the shortest training module throughout the program. And the reason for that is simple. I want you to spend the least amount of time on this for the reasons that we're going to talk about. But having said that, I don't want to make it sound like it's not important. Of course, your logo forms a huge part of your brand. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk through some of the things that I think are important to consider for you as you continue your brand by building your logo. So what I'm going to do is I'll hop over to the laptop and we'll start to talk about this concept of what your logo should be and how it should look now as we make our way through this module. But again, I'll keep re-emphasizing this, but I feel that this is something that should be done quite quickly. And in fact, the time you take to watch the rest of this training module is probably about the amount of time that you want to take in order to finalize your decision around your logo. So let's hop over to the laptop though, and we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail. So let's talk about the logo in a little bit more detail, and as I say, why I feel that it is something that should take some of your attention but not too much attention. So let's make our way through some of the points that I want to consider about the logo. Now, firstly, why I don't think putting too much time, effort, and most importantly cost into logo is important. Here I brandish some of the logos that I'm finding. Now, I'm sure you are familiar with all of these logos. Now, I just want you to take those logos in for a second, because these are the logos of some of the biggest companies, revenue generating companies in the world. Now, let's look at those logos for a second. Can you imagine not knowing those logos, if you'd spent a lot of money, time, effort and energy in paying someone to come up with that logo and they came back to you with that? If you were an IT company and you said, I want to launch the biggest IT company in the world, and they came back to you after you'd invested a lot of money into it with a picture of an apple, you would not have thought that would have worked. But that is why I don't want you to spend too much time on a logo. Yes, the logo forms part of your brand, but actually I think there's some key points to follow with it, but really it's much less important than some of the stuff I've seen. I see people spending thousands of pounds on logo development, and I really don't think that that is something that you should spend time with. What I think a logo should be, I think it should be clear, I think it should be concise, I think it should be recognizable, and I think it should be memorable. Again, if we go back to those things, they are very clear. You can see them from a distance. I take the McDonald's logo, and what works so well about that, it's an M. There's nothing fantastic about it. They haven't involved burgers, chips, milkshakes into their logo. It's as simple as an M, but my children recognize that, and they recognize it from far away because it's very clear, the logo. So that's something that I think is important in a logo. It's nice and concise, not too busy. I see people come up with lots of very busy logos, and I think sometimes then you spend time trying to decipher what's in that logo. I think it should be nice and clear, nice and concise. It then, what you want it to become is recognizable. So once you do pick a logo, now the thing to remember about your logo is, like everything about your brand, you have to love it. It has to feel like you. So whilst I'm saying don't spend too much time on it, what I don't want you to do is put too much detail into it, or particularly investment. But I do want you to be happy with it, because what you want it to then be is recognizable and rememberable. So you use it across your branding. I'm sure already you've seen our branding, our logo, but if you look across our website, we try to put that everywhere. And things that we're going to talk about throughout the program, when we talk about customer journeys and building out email trails and marketing, and it will have our logo on it, because what we want people to do is identify with that logo and realize it then comes from a position of authority. So you really want this logo to be clear, to be concise, to be recognizable, and to be memorable. So what I do think when it comes to logos though, is this is a fantastic chance to do your first bit of outsourcing or hiring. And we're going to talk about outsourcing a lot more as we move through the program. But for example, a site that I find to be really helpful, and we'll talk about throughout this, is Fiverr.com. And a quick look on there, and you can see logos can be designed for you for between £7 to £15. And one of the reasons I think that will be really helpful for you is you can give somebody some information of what you're looking to achieve from the logo, perhaps what colors you're looking to do, and they can make it with that. It will be a graphic designer. So effectively you're hiring a graphic designer. But as you can see, it's very cheap. You would probably find potentially that it might be somebody from another country, where the value of money is perhaps a slight bit lower. So actually, £7 to them is a lot further than perhaps it is in where you're living. So, but their skills are very good, and that's why it's so important to outsource. Again, how long would it take you in terms of an appointment to be earning £7 to £15? Not very long at all, but you could spend hours trying to work on your logo. Go to somewhere here. Outsourcing is a fantastic skill to develop, and we'll talk about as the program goes through when to outsource and when not to outsource. And for me, logo design is a really good way to do that. The other thing, and again, as I've said, and we'll constantly say throughout, I want this for you to be understanding what I've done well and what I've done badly. Now, with my logo, for example, I had it created very cheaply, for free, in fact. But what it left me with is not a very good file. So I had this logo, but when it came to printing it on things like banners or bigger images around website design, they didn't have the appropriate images, and I had to then go and get that. Another thing that would be very helpful is to have it on a transparent background. So for example, my logo has a black background, but you see the uniform I'm wearing this on, if the black of the background doesn't match the black of the top or anything we're looking to print that on, you may see a difference. So having it on a transparent background can be really helpful as well. So when you get your logo designed, I would make sure that you ask the person that you want it sent back to you in formats that allow with a transparent background, and also that it has the right sort of vector type image to be used throughout websites and stuff. So make sure that you're getting back the highest quality of image, but that's what you can do for very cheaply with Fiverr.com. And there are free logos that can be made on multiple sites. So what I looked to do here was spend 5 minutes of my time going to a free logo maker to make this one here. And you can see John W Sports Injury. This isn't the logo that I went with, but I made this in 5 minutes. It was free. They were then going to charge me for the higher levels of images. So that's where they get their money, because they know people ultimately need this. So again, another reason to potentially be outsourcing, but that is one that I made, and it kind of does what it says on the tin. I was looking for it to involve sport and to involve some sort of expert authority. So they were the things I went with our logo. So it's okay. Again, just to bring in mind, here's my logo here. Now again, by no means is my logo very good, very high tech, but what I wanted to do is try and be very clear, very concise as the things I've mentioned. So we work with sport. So I got running, cycling, swimming, sort of three basic elements to a lot of the sports that we cover. A tagline helping you to perform to your best. Again, really trying to get it nice and simple on there. I made it black. I knew that I wanted, at the time, I wanted my website to be black and things, and for that to be there, but it also made colour stand out. One thing I wanted in my logo was for it to pop, for colours to be clear, colours to be apparent, and colours to pop. So I knew putting that on a black with some strong colours would help. So really that was the thinking behind my logo. Now, I am not sitting here and saying that my logo is completely amazing. As I say, it's not. As I say, it was created free of charge, and something potentially I might look to do further down the line is to develop the logo a little bit. But my views on logos they really aren't that important. I mean, what you will find is that as you work through, you'll realise, and you can see here with a little bit of better graphical design work, and this again was outsourcing using Fiverr, but the logo sits at the top, but we've got this nice sort of mash up picture of my staff and things, and we use that. So there we can get higher level imaging, but my logo just plays a part. So it's there, so it's identifiable, and people get used to seeing it. Again, I think the things with logos is it's really subliminal. You know, again, if I asked you to draw out certain companies' logos, you would know those. It's not that you spend time studying them, it's just that they're always using it. They're always dropping it into their marketing. So as a result, the more complicated you make the logo, the harder it is for someone to remember. So nice and clear, nice and simple. And then when you want to improve how things look, you can do that around the logo. So things to think about when coming to your logo. I wanted this to be the shortest video of the whole program because I want you to spend the least amount of time on this. For me, what I would do is fundamentally think about some of the things I want. I would go to Fiverr.com. I would find a outsourced person with good reviews, not too expensive, and then I would send that to them and see what they came back to me with. You've got to love it because you're going to build your brand around it and you're going to be looking at it all the time, but don't spend too much time on the logo.